Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 10th of December, now it's 9:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Gonzalo and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. I will try to make a second update later on in the afternoon in which I will share latest report of Russian Defense Ministry about progress of special military operation, and this evening 7 o'clock Moscow time, I will have a live stream, traditional Sunday live stream, in which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media, and also we can have a friendly chat as we always do. I'm actively engaged with the chat, and we always discussing different topics, not necessarily about politics or geopolitics, just about anything. It's always good fun, so hopefully you will find time to join the conversation today, 7 o'clock evening Moscow time. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with the breaking news around the Gonzalo Lira story, and huge developments, dear friends. Tucker Carlson devoted entire segment on his program to Gonzalo Lira and his story on X or Twitter, which is definitely can be seen as a breakthrough, and because Tucker Carlson is a big name, he has a huge following. I guess because of him, topic of Gonzalo Lira will become active in US media or Western media, maybe even during the presidential race. Candidates, at least from Republicans, will mention Gonzalo Lira and situation around him, which gonna be helpful, I believe. And also possibly White House at some point will be forced to react on a story of Gonzalo Lira and demand from Kyiv regime he to be released from prison. Yet again, big hopes that as a result of this program on Tucker Carlson's program, some breakthrough will be achieved when it comes to Gonzalo Lira and situation around him. If some members of our community are not familiar with the Gonzalo, I will share with you basic information that Gonzalo has dual citizenship. He is a citizen of US and also Chile, if I'm not mistaken. He was living in Ukraine, in Kharkov city, and making programs on YouTube and sharing his opinion about relevant topics. He had a roundtable program in which many relevant or popular political commentators were participating. So he was very active and big, I will say, on social media. And Kyiv did not like it at all. Kyiv regime did not like it, didn't like stands of Gonzalo, and he was arrested once. Then he was released after some time, but Kyiv regime arrested him again shortly after and released on bail. And at that point, Gonzalo did make video and share with public, and he said that he has no guarantees. He fears for his life. He was treated very badly, as we can understand, by Kyiv regime, and he did try to flee Ukraine to Hungary, and he was arrested third time while trying to attempt cross border between Ukraine and Hungary. Since then he is in prison of Kyiv regime. He is definitely political prisoner, unlawful prisoner. He did not do any wrong whatsoever. He was unjustly hold in Ukraine by the regime. And well, let's hope this attention from Tucker Carlson and additional attention that will be generated by as a result of program on from Tucker Carlson will play a significant role to free Gonzalo. I do know that many people do have some critical questions towards him, but let's make sure that he is free first, and then all the questions can be asked. That's the right approach, I believe. So, well, applause to Tucker Carlson. He did a great job to help political prisoner Gonzalo Lira. And let's hope he will be freed shortly. That's been said, let's talk about other news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media, Russian military channels and Russian Defense Ministry, there was no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line. Operational pause, as I understand, is holding at this point all along the front, although of course there are some hotspots on the line of contact. Donetsk sector, mainly Avdiivka and Bakhmut areas. Also Krasny Liman direction is very active, and South Donetsk direction. Also lately, if you are interested in more details about progress of Russian special military operation in zone of in Ukraine, you can check my yesterday's second update, in which I did share latest report of Russian Defense Ministry. It's a short video, just about 15 minutes. But overall, I will say now that operational pause is holding and nothing is happening on any of the sectors of the front line that will influence the situation in immediate future. Russian side has initiative in every single sector of the front. That's been said. Before I continue with some other news, let me, dear friends, thank you all for your time and attention. And of course, special thank to members of our community who support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without you, this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram would not exist, and I would not have this opportunity to work in this segment of news and political commentary. So thank you very much. And let's continue with additional news now. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces conducted missile strikes on Ukrainian industrial facilities that were engaged in production of missiles for Ukrainian MLRS systems, among them Olkha, Grad and Grom. According to Russian Defense Ministry, strikes were successful and all the targets were reached, which means, I guess, that in fairly short time, Ukrainian units will begin experiencing some even more shortages when it comes to munition. In this particular case, for multi-launch rocket systems. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that Ukrainian officers, Ukrainian representatives of Ukrainian army are now beginning openly talk about retreat from certain areas, certain sectors on the front line. And we have a report here about interview of Artie Green, officer of Armed Forces of Ukraine, who during the interview with Yuri Romanenko, Ukrainian, I guess, journalist or so-called journalist, this officer said that the situation on the front line are difficult, and in some areas retreat probably will be right decision, especially in the northern sectors. And this Ukrainian officer was talking about possible retreat on the right bank of Oskol and Zherebets rivers. And well, we are talking about this area. We are talking about this area, dear friends. This is Oskol River. this waterway, and Kupiansk city itself divided on half by this river. And I guess this type of interviews, when Ukrainian officers openly are talking about retreat from certain areas, definitely can be seen as a preparation of a ground for inevitable retreat of Ukrainian forces, which will happen in fairly short time. I remind you, dear friends, that in my reading of big picture, this winter, I believe Russian side will begin conducting decisive military actions, large-scale military operations, and maybe we will see retreat of Ukrainian forces from certain areas even before Russian large-scale offensive operations began. Because in this interview, this officer was saying that on the right bank of Zherebets and Oskol rivers will be a little bit easier to maintain defensive lines. So I guess in attempt to minimize their casualties, if Kiev regime even cares about casualties, they will retreat on the right bank of these rivers, leaving quite huge areas, and will try to build up defense line on the banks of these rivers, Oskol and Zherebets, on the right banks of these rivers. I remind you, dear friends, that in Ukraine there is no independent media. All media outlets are controlled by Kiev regime, tightly controlled by Kiev regime, and it's only propaganda that is allowed to be spread. And this interview we should see as a part of propaganda, part of preparation of ground and society itself for inevitable retreat of Ukrainian units, so that there will be little less criticism towards leadership of Kiev regime when actual retreat will happen. But anyway, let's continue. Very interesting news here about Ka-52M helicopters that was first time used on the battlefield during the previous days in a zone of special military operation. Of course, many of you are familiar with the Ka-52 helicopter gunships. They did prove their effectiveness very much, undoubtedly, and as a result of receiving experience of using these helicopters in the battlefield, some additional work was made on helicopters. They've been modernized, and the Ka-52M, M means modernized, have been introduced to the battlefield. If Ka-52 was horror for Ukrainian armed groups, then I guess Ka-52M will be even more scarier stuff, and well, I may exaggerating a little bit, but in my understanding, Ka-52s together with the Mi-28 helicopter gunships did play a crucial role to defeat so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive that began on 4th of June and ended catastrophically for Kiev regime. During the initial stages of this counteroffensive, probably many of you remember how many videos I was sharing on my Telegram when Ka-52s were destroying Ukrainian armored columns one after another. There was dozens and dozens and dozens of videos almost on daily basis. So these helicopters definitely play a huge role to defeat Ukrainian counteroffensive. And after this conflict will end, I believe demand on these helicopters worldwide will be massive, absolutely massive. And on many other types of weapons that Russia did use during the hostilities and are using now still. TASS news agency is also reporting that according to Russian Defense Ministry, as a result of clashes, just in 1 week, Ukrainian forces lost in the right bank of the Kherson region about 20 units of different type of military equipment, from tanks and armored personnel carriers to howitzers. And yet again, number is quite conservative, at this point. Number is quite conservative, which may be explained quite easily. As I said from very beginning of this so-called Kherson offensive that Kiev regime conducted, left bank for Ukrainian forces was a trap. Initially, not everyone did agree with me, but nowadays, I guess, situation is a little bit different, and vast majority probably will agree that left bank was a trap created by Russian forces, and Kiev regime sent in Kherson region dozens of brigades from other sectors of the front line, and Russian side, of course, used this opportunity, high concentration of Ukrainian forces, to begin pounding Ukrainian points of Ukrainian concentration of Ukrainian units and military equipment on the right bank of the Dnieper River. And for 2 months, basically on daily basis, we were seeing videos of 500 glide bombs have been used dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And as a result of it, at least if we combine casualty number on Ukrainian side, the Kiev regime lost at least two brigades, which is huge, really, and achieved nothing, absolutely nothing. Just a small foothold in a Krinky area. This area here, in village, just a small part of the village was occupied and still occupied by Ukrainian forces, and small footholds next to destroyed Antonovsky Bridge and railway bridge not far away from Oleshk, and that's it. And for this, 2 brigades were sacrificed. If we combined casualty number among manpower and military equipment, and at this point there is not that much left in the Kherson region from Ukrainian brigades. And that's why during the previous week, only 20 pieces of military equipment was destroyed. Only 20. So that definitely highlights how devastating these Russian strikes on Ukrainian forces were on the right bank of the Dnieper River. Although many military channels are reporting that while crossing the Dnieper River, Ukrainian units did suffer also immense casualties, and left bank is full of bodies of killed Ukrainian soldiers. It was a catastrophe for Ukrainian forces. Trap did work as it was intended, and Kiev regime did fail for this trap. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Maria Zakharova, head of, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, did react about on topic that Russia will be forced to negotiate with Kiev on terms that will be proposed by Zelensky and his associates, and Zakharova did say that it's not happening. It's not happening, and more than that, recently there are quite a discussion about topic of Korean scenario for Ukraine. Some Western media outlets, some Western so-called politicians are pushing this narrative that Korean scenario can be used in Ukraine, and Maria Zakharova also said that Russian side not even discussing such possibility. It will not happen. And this stand from Moscow is quite understandable, because after all, at this point, I guess everybody understands that Kiev regime and Western ruling class lost this battle with Russia. They lost it. Only formalization is left, and if any negotiations will take place, only on Russian terms. Only on Russian terms, and it will happen. It will happen in 2024. I'm quite sure about it, and eventually, Ukraine will be divided between its neighbors. RIA Novosti is reporting that government of Sri Lanka made statements that they are prohibiting any citizen of Sri Lanka to participate in military operations outside of country on part of any of the conflicting side worldwide. But in this particular case, they are talking about Ukrainian crisis, and they said that there was attempt recently to from some representatives of Ukraine to basically create how you should to recruit, basically, yes, that's a word, to recruit citizens of Sri Lanka and send them in Ukraine to participate in hostilities against Russia. And this attempt was neutralized by law enforcement agencies of Sri Lanka. And well, let me show you on the map this island. By the way, it's not far away from India. This map is not working again properly. So this island is Sri Lanka, or Ceylon. That's a name that Sri Lanka is also known. And well, that's a good news. That's a good news if government of Sri Lanka is determined to to stop any attempts from representatives of Kiev regime or private military companies to recruit people in the Sri Lanka and send them in Ukraine. And well, if people worldwide that wants to participate in this conflict on part of Kiev regime, if those people did read some independent news, they will realize that money that they will receive not worth it, because they will die. Most likely they will die in Ukraine, like majority of foreign mercenaries already did. But because these people probably are receiving information from Western media outlets, they are receiving Western propaganda, they may think it's gonna be easy walk in Ukraine and they're gonna enrich themselves. I don't know how much those mercenaries are paid, but you know, I guess enough so that they will risk their lives. And I don't know, man. They are just stupid. They are just too stupid. And once they are in Ukraine and realizing that they end up in hell, they are unable to flee. They are unable to flee Ukraine, and basically are destined to die on the front line. They'll be lucky if Russian side will take them prisoner, but they should always keep in mind that they are not part of regular forces of Ukraine, so they may not be treated as a POWs. They may be treated as mercenaries, and during the battlefield, anything may happen, you know. Anything may happen. Let's continue. And RIA Novosti is reporting that State Department did approve transfer of tank shells for Israeli army for $100 million, or to be more precise, for $106.5 million. Excuse me. Yesterday I did report that Israel asked Washington for 45,000 tank shells. I even had questions why Israeli army needs so many tank shells, for what they are preparing for. For escalation in West Bank, for escalation in the Lebanon, or what? Exactly, because I don't think they need 45,000 tank shells for operation in the Gaza Strip. But whatever the case, most likely they will receive first bunch of requested artillery shells, because after State Department approval, I don't think Congress will block that transfer. Also, TASS News Agency is reporting that President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, commented on the situation in the Middle East and the escalation between Israel and Palestine, and he said that it will be impossible to achieve fair peace if US is involved, which is a quite understandable statement, really, because US is a part of the problem here, and US cannot be neutral in this case. It cannot play a role of a neutral side, and therefore if US is engaged, then there can be no fair peace, not for Palestine, not for anybody in any conflicting situation. In this regard, yes, Erdogan definitely has a point, and US is 100% part of this problem. Because if Washington wanted the escalation, they can just take a phone, call Netanyahu and said, you know what, stop it right now. And because of huge dependence of Israel on US aid, financial and military aid, Netanyahu's government will have no choice other than de-escalate. But publicly, US officials are making one statement. Privately, they are in full support, I guess, of Netanyahu's actions. And that's why this conflict is still continuing. And also in Turkey, right parties of Turkey did basically made demand that if Sweden wants to join NATO, and if NATO member states want to see Sweden becoming part of alliance, then all those countries should do everything possible to influence Netanyahu's government to stop hostilities in the Gaza Strip. Well, just recently, Ankara, official Ankara, or Turkish government, did make a statement that basically Sweden did agree on all the terms of Turkey, and Ankara sees no reason why Sweden not to be not to become a part of NATO no more. So I guess these demands from right-wing parties in Turkey are just part of political game, and in reality, Erdogan's government will greenlight Sweden to join NATO. Question is, does Swedish government really wants be a part of NATO? Because my understanding still is that they were forced to make such a decision. And I don't think society in Sweden are very keen to become a part of military alliance. But yet again, there was no referendum in Sweden, so we will never know opinion of people. And there was no referendum in Finland either, so we will never know opinion of Finnish society about decisions that the government made to join North Atlantic Alliance. But anyway, let's continue. EU leaders panicking over potential Trump return. That was written in article on New York Times. EU diplomats and think tanks officials have been contacting former US President Donald Trump's associates to figure out whether he would pull the US out of NATO if he returns to White House, the New York Times reported on Friday. Well, yet again, these tactics of to scare society in the US are not getting older, because after all it worked quite well during the previous presidential elections. And this article and many other articles that are trying to demonize Trump, and Trump will do this, Trump will do that, destroy one, second, third, I mean, he will destroy solar system and then universe, and all this BS, man. This is just to create scaring environment in the US and force basically people to vote in certain way. That's all it is. Because Trump never said, if I'm not mistaken, that he will pull out US from NATO. He was doing exactly the opposite. He was forcing European states to pay more for NATO. Isn't it? And that was the issue at the time when Trump was president, because these European leaders did not want to increase the spendings on defense and on NATO. And now very same people are scared that Trump will pull out US from NATO. Come on, man, how we can even discuss this topic seriously? It's not possible. But New York Times and many other articles are pushing this narrative that Trump will destroy relationships with its allies, US allies, worldwide, including Europe, and Trump will destroy NATO, Trump will destroy AUKUS, Trump will destroy everything. This is just scare tactic that have been adopted by Democrats. That's it, and also deep state, and they will push this narrative until end of presidential election, and they will try to scare hell out of citizens of US with the possible Trump's return into White House. Although even if Trump will become president, and if he will not be stopped, then if he will participate in the elections, of course he will win. Numbers are indicating that he will definitely win. He will become president of US, and if that's the case, then I mean, what is all this buzz about? Really, he was a president already, and what? US policies did not really change much, isn't it? Trump was very vocal, but when it comes to policies, policies did not change that much, because it's a deep state that runs things. It's a deep state that runs the system. And no matter what kind of statements have been made in White House or Congress or Senate, it's a deep state that makes true decisions. They run the show. So even if Trump will become president, and then what? I mean, I don't think there will be some crucial changes when it comes to geopolitical stance of the US. But some minor changes for visibility, for optics, of course, will be made. Some minor changes, but nothing in significant scale, because it's not about who is the president. It's about how system is run and by whom system is run. That's it. And who controls US political and state institutions, political system and state institutions? Deep state, and deep state is based on or has deep ties with whom? With corporations, isn't it? With the military industrial complex, big pharma, Wall Street, energy companies. That's it, man. They run the show, not the presidents of the US. And it's never was so evidential than right now, when Biden became president, because everybody in this world understands that Biden don't make any decisions at all. He's there just to, you know, sometimes read some few sentences on a teleprompter and sign papers that he's given, and that's it. You know. So, well, one may hope that, you know, Trump will become president and he will change system from within, and US will become really fair and good player on the world stage. But come on, man, let's be real. It's not happening. I don't think Trump or anybody else can influence this deeply troubled, deeply corrupt system in the US. It's just not happening, man. So I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, and well, some miracle will happen, and US will change overnight. I don't know. RIA Novosti is reporting about, wow, this is, you're gonna like this information, man. You're gonna laugh on it. So Scholz, German Chancellor, made yet another genius statement, because he is a genius of modern times, isn't it? And he said that it's Russia and Putin that cut gas supply to Europe. Not the US, not Biden's administration who blew up Nord Stream pipeline, but it's Russia and Putin. And this idiot, man, Scholz, is saying this in full seriousness. So I don't know, man. At this point, if I was a citizen of Germany, I will definitely go on a march, or I will do something, because it's a shame that this stupid individual is a chancellor of Germany. If he was at least quiet, okay, but he does on daily basis some immensely crazy statements and insults Germany. That's what it is, man. This is insult for Germany. Because about Scholz itself, okay, he is a clown, no one cares about him, but he's insulting Germany on daily basis. And this is, I mean, shame, though. This is shame. You cannot comment seriously on this, for sure. And hopefully German society will manage to get rid of these idiots, man, that they have in government now as soon as possible. As soon as possible, because they truly are shame of human species, not just Germany, but human species. You know, the Scholz, Baerbock, and the rest of them, and they truly are. You know, come on, man. RIA Novosti is reporting that in Hungary, dear friends, truckers made decision to also begin protest action on the border with Ukraine, and if that's the case, then Hungary will become third country, which will somewhat participate in not on the state level, but on the level of truckers, private businesses, and so on, farmers that will participate in partial blockade of Ukraine, Kyiv regime, because at this point, similar protests are taking place in Poland and Slovakia, where farmers, local farmers and the truckers are blocking border crossings and demanding just and fair rules for everybody. Because according to him, Ukrainian side has unfair advantage because of the decisions of Brussels, and they are protesting against this. Also, RT is reporting that US citizens are running out of savings. According to JP Morgan, only the top 1% of US consumers will have more money stocked up by next year than before the COVID-19 pandemic, the bank warns. Well, 1% of US citizens are controlling like 90% of wealth in the US, isn't it? So, no surprises there. RT is reporting that Russia to launch a year-round LNG shipment via Arctic operator. This is a big news. And well, Arctic shipping route in itself is a huge deal. Let me show you if this map will work properly. So that's Arctic route, dear friends. Entire this coastline is Russia, and Russia has a huge icebreaker fleet, nuclear icebreaker fleet, and ice become thicker and thinner and thinner, not thicker, but thinner and thinner. And at some point in summer, it's possible to pass through this area even without icebreakers. And this route is twice short between Europe, let's say, between Europe and global East or global South than traditional routes. And therefore, of course, Russian side pays huge attention to develop this north shipping route. and additional icebreakers have been built, and already millions of tons of goods have been transported through that line. And now, according to this news, Moscow plans to start year-round LNG deliveries to Asia via Russian Arctic waterways. Sergei Zipko, head of the Northern Sea route operator, announced this week. So this is huge. I believe in 10-15 years time, North shipping route will Northern Sea route will become a significant competitor to other major sea crossings, other major sea routes. Not now, not in a year or two, but give it 10, 15, 20 years, and vast majority of goods worldwide will be transported through Northern Sea route. I'm quite sure about it. And it will benefit Russia, of course, big time. And world economy also, because yet again it will cut current time for transfer goods from Asia to Europe, or from Europe to Asia, or US, in half, at least in half. And this is it for now. This is it for today's first update. Quite a short video in comparison to previous ones when it comes to main news update. Hopefully you will find this video interesting, and if so, please, dear friends, click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends and help me spread the word about my channel. It will definitely help to reach wider audience. And if you think this channel, this project with several channels, including this one on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram, is useful, interesting, informative, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, on which I do upload some extra content on a regular basis. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care. And before I go, dear friends, today 7 o'clock evening Moscow time, I will have a live stream. So hopefully you will find time to join the conversation. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.